Hello, and welcome to Horror Movies and Shit. I'm your host Jim, and with me as always is
Mark,
Hey Mark. How you doing today?
Jim, we have a hurricane coming.
We do. This is not very
Nope.
common in Florida, is it?
Well, a November hurricane is not that common, I don't think. Although, I think pretty soon we'll be getting December ones too. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with horror movies.
That's true, it does not.
Real life horror.
So,
Right.
first let's start with telling everybody about the Facebook group, which everybody knows we have. And then what else am I missing, Mark?
Oh, I've restarted my once legendary Facebook group, which is the horror meme group. Back in
That
the
you
day, we had 20,000 plus people, but then we got zucked.
We did. We did. That
We
was
did.
quite a group.
It was. It was. So yeah. Um, so for today, James,
Yes, sir.
um, I figured we'd finish off the top 101 scariest moments show that we started last time. I also have a general topic which you don't know, and I'm going to ask you about.
I do not.
Um, and also, in a future episode, we will be doing a watch along for Corey Davison's The Shape, his Halloween type tribute that we talked about when he was on the show.
Yep, that'll be probably on the next episode when we venture into that.
Indeed. All right. Is there anything else you want to say before we jump in?
Oh, not that I can think of. D Yeah, I mean, where did we leave off? Do we have a number, or do we even know?
I wrote it down.
Okay,
I did write down the numbers. I think this was like, it ended up with like the last 35 on the list or something.
35 questions left in my test then.
Right. I'm going to annoy my wife again with the bell, but I'm going to ring the bell prior to me saying the name of the movie. Um, and if you've seen it, I win.
Oh, okay, that's
Right?
changing the
So
rules a bit.
I am trying to predict your viewing habits.
Oh, you think
So,
you think you know me that well, do you?
yeah. Well,
Okay,
we will see. This will be interesting. Okay.
indeed.
So, the Blair Witch Project.
Of course, I've seen it.
Yeah, a lot of these are going to be obviously the more famous ones. There's a few kind of random ones thrown in too, but as we get into like the top 35, I think there's going to be a lot you've seen. Okay, so which moment do you think they talked about?
Hmm. I'm gonna say the first time I jumped in that movie was when they got attacked in the tent.
Right. And that would have been probably, I think, if I had to pick one part where it's like the hands on the tent.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I would have probably picked that, but I understand why they picked what they picked.
but what did they pick?
The ending.
Oh, when Josh in the basement. Okay,
Yeah, standing in the corner.
yeah,
Um, okay, next one.
okay.
Paranormal activity.
Of course, I've seen it.
Okay, what do you think?
The first time I jumped in that movie, like there's a lot of atmosphere in that movie, but the first time I
Mhm.
jumped was when Katie got dragged out of bed.
Right. No. And again, sometimes they talk about different ones, but I just try and hone in on the ones that they talk about the most. No, so the scariest moment was, the like the real time lapse video of her standing, beside him while he's sleeping.
I mean, freaky I get, scary not so much.
I don't find anything in that movie scary or creepy or anything. It's just boring.
I thought it was very atmospheric. I did like the way it built up.
Nah, wasn't for me. I thought some of the other sequels were better, but all right.
And see, I started falling off in the sequels.
One of them I don't remember which one it was, but I remember watching it. It might have been the Ghost Dimension. I don't even remember. But I'm like,
That
oh wow, I actually really enjoy this one. It ends up it was directed by Adam Robital, who does.
Wasn't that the newest one?
No, no, because there's one that's just been released, and I guess it's got nothing much to do with the series. But
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. I did see a new one on Paramount Plus, I believe.
right, so but the one I really liked again, directed by Adam Robitaille, who did what do you call it, the Taking of Never Looking. So yeah,
Of
no
course.
wonder, no wonder I enjoyed it. All right, next up, no ding. It is the original Let the Right One In.
Correct. I have not seen it. I am, however, watching the series.
Oh, and how's that?
I'm one episode in, and I found it honestly a little bit slow, but not unwatchable.
Mm, yeah, I doubt I will ever venture into it. TV series and all.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say this is the 2020 Lee Winnell remake slash reboot, The Invisible Man.
You would be wrong.
You haven't seen The Invisible Man?
I have not.
Yeah, it's I liked a lot about it. I thought the ending was all.
So, okay, let me clarify. I've seen bits and pieces of it because Ray has seen it and he really enjoys it, so he'll put it on from time to time. But I've never sat down and watched the whole thing.
So I'm half right, Jim. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you're half right.
Okay, there.
Your wife's gonna hate me.
Join the club. Okay, next one. I will say that you have not seen, and I haven't seen it. I always forget about this movie, and I always mean to go back and watch it at some point. It is the 1967 Audrey Hepburn movie. Do you know what it would be?
No,
Wait Until Dark.
I
Have you
have
heard of
not.
this one?
No.
Okay, so this is one where she is blind, and basically, bad men come in, and she has to kind of survive, you know,
Okay.
being blind and all that. But I've heard lots and lots of really good things about it, so it's on my ever never ending list of to watch. All right, next up, Don't Breathe.
Oh yes, that's the one with where they're in the blind guy's house and he shuts off the
Yep,
lights.
talking about
Yes.
blind people. Yep.
Yep. Yep. Seen that.
What moment do you think they brought up? It's
I
probably the
honestly,
most. It's the most infamous part of it.
I know for me the only part that the the scariest part for me was realizing that he had the woman trapped in the basement. But I know that's not what they picked. It's gonna wind up being when he shot the guy.
No, you were close.
Oh,
It
okay.
was the turkey baster scene.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
that's I can see that.
I really, really like Stephen Lang as an actor. Everything I've
Yeah.
seen him in, I really enjoy his performance. I did not like. I did not like Don't Breathe. That sounded weird. I hate it whenever I don't know. Yeah, well, he's ex special forces or whatever. I'm sorry, but he's not Daredevil.
Right.
Stop giving blind people superpowers if they don't actually have them. And I also don't like. And I know this is what they were going for, to make the people doing the burglary out as the good guys or the likable guys. It just annoyed me.
I can see that point.
Um, all right, next up, no ding for you, Jim.
Okay.
This is the New Zealand or Australia? I don't remember. Um, this is a movie I saw when it first came out, and I didn't enjoy it, so I never went back. It is the kind of mockumentary movie Lake Mungo.
I have not seen Lake Mungo. I know of it, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. Oh, would you have seen this? I'm going. You watch a lot of TV series, don't you?
I don't know about a lot, but I watch TV.
I will risk it here, Jim.
Okay.
It is the Netflix series Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, I don't know, of course.
It was huge. It was everywhere. So of course I watched it.
So was The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, which part do they say was the scariest?
The scariest would probably be when, at least I would think is the twist when you find out the bent neck woman is Nell.
Right. Yeah. It's the bent neck woman.
Yeah.
So, one thing I'll say about these types of series, I'm not talking about Haunting of the Hill House or the guy who made it. What's his name?
Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flan. Is it Mike Flanagan? Yeah.
Yes.
I feel sometimes these like top 100 X or whatever pander to the guests that are on it, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes they'll have, oh, yeah, this is one of the top, 100 of the. Like, no, this fucking director's terrible and this movie's trash. Like, nobody would, in their right mind, would put it on a list, but he or she's there talking about all these movies, so they're like, okay, we'll throw one of your movies in too.
Well, I mean, I do have to say I did appreciate the changes that they made to the characters and the personal relationships in this movie. And I thought it was relatively well done.
Yeah, I watched 2 episodes, got bored.
Well, that's fair. It was more about the family dynamic, so I mean, I could see that point.
Yeah, I did like his Midnight Mass
I was just that was going to be I was going to ask you that if you liked Midnight Mass.
because I like.
He's done another show now too, but I can't remember. Did
Is
he
it?
do Midnight Club?
I don't know. He also did that one. Speaking of people with disabilities, what's it called? The woman in the cabinet and she's deaf, and it's like a home invasion one. Oh, I don't remember what it's called, but that was very good.
No, I don't remember that one.
Okay. Next up, Jim.
Okay,
This movie is about a clown.
it's going to be it.
Right.
Which version?
It was from the new version, the first part.
Okay. Mm. I honestly I couldn't pick a single scene because and
What's maybe the most iconic scene of that movie?
well that would be where he confronts Georgie in the sewer.
Right. And that is the part, the opening.
Yep.
Um, who now? I'm going to say you haven't seen this because you are not a world traveler of horror movies. This is my favorite revenge movie. It's obviously South Korean because they make the best revenge movies for
Oh,
some
then you
weird
might as
reason.
well just say no. I haven't seen it.
It is I Saw the Devil.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
You should watch it. It is my favorite revenge movie. It is amazing. Amazing.
Okay.
Okay. Clive Barker's what?
It's going to be Hellraiser.
It is going to be Hellraiser.
Hmm.
So this one,
And
I think it might be a little bit more tricky because there's quite a few moments in here that you can pick.
there are, but it has to be the chains. And I'm going to go with the first time the chains rip into Frank in the
Right,
flashback.
right. So you are half correct.
Okay.
So it is Frank and the Chains, but it's actually the end.
Oh, when he
The-
says Jesus wept.
right,
Okay.
which was ad libbed by what's the name of the actor? Love the actor too.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember. I never remember his name and I feel bad.
Because he's great in Star Trek.
Hmm.
He's great in the first Dirty Harry movie. He's always Andrew Robinson.
Okay.
Yes, so it's the ending. But again, you could have had, Frank's birth. I think it's another standout moment.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
when he comes up from the floor, yes.
right. Uh, okay, next one. And this one's weird because I don't remember them actually picking out one. Well, they kind of said one thing, but they didn't really specify. So I'm going to say it is Neil Marshall's Spelunking movie.
Descent.
Hmm.
I can tell you my favorite part of the movie, but
Okay.
it's not going to be the scariest part.
Hmm.
Is where oh my god, the character, I forget the main character's name, but she stabs the lady who was
Right.
screwing her husband in the leg with the pickaxe.
Yeah. I love the end, the original ending.
So let me ask you this question: when you talk about the original ending,
Yeah.
you talk about the one that was filmed in, released overseas and not necessarily in the United States. Is that the one where she stays down and has the birthday cake?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear because I've seen both endings.
Yeah. This was the original UK ending, and then I guess, it probably went through some, audience testing in the US, and they're probably like, we don't like sad endings. We want a happy ending.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, plus it had to set it up more solidly for the sequel. I think.
I don't even know if they were thinking about a sequel because, again, Neil Marshall.
No, it was clear. It was clear with the what you call the original ending. It's clear that they were not.
But
They were not thinking about another
right,
movie.
but you don't even need her to survive to have a sequel.
No, you don't because you could make it unrelated. But
I, well, it could just be, kind of what happened in the sequel, that, there is a rescue party
right,
because these women have just all disappeared after they went in there.
yeah,
Although,
I
didn't they
will
go
say,
to a hidden place? But anyway,
I
um,
will say for being a female centric movie, I thought it was really super well done because you generally don't see the depth of character and this could just be me not being a world traveler with horror, but a lot of the female characters you see written, especially especially if they're up in front like all of the ladies were in this film, don't have a depth to them, and all of these characters I thought were really well fleshed out.
yeah, I mean, I think more to the point is there's a lot of movies where it's mostly men,
Yeah,
especially, I was going to say especially in horror, but that's probably not true because a lot of victims are women.
right.
But I think it just in cinema in general, it's being white
Right,
male.
and they're used for vehicles for the men to shine. Is essentially how women are generally used in cinema.
And there is a term for this, and if you pass this test, it's good. You're writing believable characters, and I don't remember the name of it, but what basically the law is, um, if you have a movie where you got female characters and they don't spend their time talking about male characters, then they're written well, or it's not, that pandering. Everything's about the male.
Okay.
Don't remember the name of that. Oh, by the way, and also the original ending does make more sense with the title of the movie.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It's
I do agree.
her descent into madness. Okay, next up, oh yeah, this is the Tobin Bell vehicle.
So,
So,
and I'm gonna go with the foot sawing.
no.
Really,
By the way, they kind of stole that from Mad Max, didn't they? Or Mad Max 2? No, I think it's Mad Max.
honestly, I have never seen any of the Mad Max films in their entirety.
Because there is this, well, not a similar, because it's not, somebody locked in a room, but basically, guys got his ankle chained up, and like Max throws him a chainsaw and says, basically, this is how you're going to get
Huh.
out.
Okay.
No, it is actually when Jigsaw reveals himself at the end.
So I will say that is probably the only part of the movie that I actually enjoyed. Like I thought the rest of the movie was terribly acted. I didn't think it was well written, but that twist when Jigsaw got up off the floor, I thought was fantastic.
Oddly enough, I don't even know why he was there.
I don't either.
He could have just been sitting outside watching them.
He could have.
I really like all the Saw movies up until they like two or three movies ago, and then it's just like, oh no,
Yeah, I mean,
I've lost it.
the first one wasn't great. I did like the larger scale that the traps were set in the sequel, and maybe even the third one. I don't remember off the top of my head, but the first couple were okay, with the exception of the original. I didn't like it at all.
I kind of
Um,
love how convoluted the series got because they were released like every year,
yep.
but it's almost like you you kind of had to take notes
Yeah.
to remember who's doing what and who's what timeline is this now and is he working with Jigsaw yet or no, or was he working with him in the past and that now it's flash forward.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed all that.
Yeah. I did not.
All right. The next one. Ooh, I'm going to say
Did he or didn't he?
what?
Huh?
What?
I'm
What do you
waiting
say?
for you to say, did he or didn't he?
Did he or didn't he? What? See it?
Have I seen it?
I'm going to say I'm going to go out on a limb here, but this is one I'm kind of on the fence about. It is the David Cronenberg movie, Scanners.
I honestly don't recall having seen it.
You will have seen the head exploding part in
Yes,
part one.
I'm familiar with that, with the scene where the heads begin to explode, but I can't say that I remember seeing the film in its entirety.
Yeah, to me, it's not one of his best ones. It's kind of slow paced, and the lead is not very good.
Yeah.
But Michael Ironside is awesome in it.
Michael Ironside is always awesome, even when he's not.
The next one up is very famous Spanish movie, so I'm going to say you haven't seen it. It
Okay.
is the found footage movie Wreck.
Yeah, I have not.
Okay. For the Wreck series, the first one's fantastic. The second one's even better. I hated the third one because they did this tonal shift and kind of turned it into a comedy for some reason. And the fourth one is just okay.
Okay.
But the first two are fantastic. Next one, and they talk about two separate scenes, so even just pick one of them. And it is the Brian De Palma Stephen King movie Carrie.
Okay, yeah, of course I've seen that movie. So I'm gonna say the jump scare at the end of Sue Snell when her arm gets grabbed.
Yeah, can you pick the other one?
Mm, let's see. I'm gonna say when the doors shut at the gym.
It's the part just slightly before that. It is whenever she gets the
When the
pig
blood drops.
shower.
Yeah.
Um, I have not read the book, but I believe in the book she's like very overweight. And it's funny because I've had several versions of Carrie, but none of them have been like overweight.
No, they've all been essentially modeled after Sissy Spacek.
Right. Which is a little
Although
weird.
although I will say that the Rage Carrie 2, as much hate as it got, I really enjoyed that movie.
I have not seen that one.
I thought it was relatively well done, and it was an interesting way to connect to the first movie.
Right. Yep, not seen it. Okay, next one. This is the Richard Donner helmed The Omen.
I have seen it,
Yeah, I thought you might have.
and I'm gonna go with this. Was it the suicide, where she hangs herself?
Right, and that's one of them. They brought up like a number. They also talked about the priest getting impaled.
Hmm.
And they talked about David Warner, R.I.P., being decapitated.
See, and for some reason in my head, and I know we talked about this before, I always, for some reason, equate that with being the beginning of The Omen 2. Like, do they recap at the beginning of The Omen 2? Is that why I
Uh,
keep seeing it that way?
I don't, I don't think so. I don't remember. Maybe they do, but I don't think so.
For some reason, I always associate that scene with the guy
Oh,
getting decapitated with The Omen 2.
maybe they do. Maybe they do. It's been a while since I've seen the
Yeah, me
second
too.
one, but I can picture them doing something like that. Really,
Yeah. Well, that was common for the time with the sequels too. I mean, they
right?
did it with like
Mm.
Halloween and whatnot. You got a quick recap at the beginning of the film.
And Hellbound, where they
Yeah.
have two flashbacks, or Silent Night, Deadly Night two. Have you seen?
I don't remember anything past the first one.
Oh, the second one is so funny. You have to watch the second one.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm sure I've seen it because I think I've seen them all,
so,
but
well,
I don't differentiate any of them because the only thing that really stood out to me in the first movie was when his mom was being raped.
no, this second one is just like so bad. It's fantastic. And
And
Eric
and
Foreman is the in the lead is hilarious. It's garbage day.
I that movie scarred me because my mom doesn't know this, but I
What?
snuck down and watched that movie in the middle of the night when I was a kid.
Uh huh.
So much that and The Meaning of Life scarred me forever.
What, the Monty Python?
Yeah. I all I can remember is I was up late one night and I was watching MTV. Like I snuck back downstairs after my mother went to bed and I
Yeah.
was watching MTV and the Meaning of Life came on. I didn't know anything about Monty Python at the time,
Mhm.
and the organ donor scene came on where they come in and they're like, "Ma'am, we've come to take your husband's organs," and they throw them on the table and they start stabbing him. Meanwhile,
Right.
my mother had just told me that morning that she was an organ donor, and I'm 7 years old watching this, just crying, like scared out of my mind.
Yeah. I mean, if you were a couple of years older, you were fully experienced with ghost rape movies at that point. Probably would have been abused.
um, I was supposed to tell you because of that. My mother and I had a conversation about this on my way home from work today. That she did spend most of her time while I was watching these movies at a young age telling
Uh-huh.
me that they were all fake. Just,
Oh,
hey,
no
look at the
way.
makeup on that. Look at the makeup on that. Trying so that I wouldn't freak myself out.
Way to ruin the experience, Mom.
And see, here she thought you'd be upset about the ghost rape, but no, you're upset with her ruining my experience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I have seen Silent Night Deadly. I don't know how did we get on this. Oh, okay, because Silent Night Deadly Night 2, about 60% of that movie is the first one.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
hilarious.
that's like sort of like Evil Dead 2 did that. A
No,
lot of it is a rehashing or a
they
retelling
kind
of
of
the original.
they redid a little bit of the opening, but after that, no. Honestly, if you haven't, like, maybe you haven't seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 in a while or at all.
Oh, it's
Uh,
been a very long time.
but if you rewatch it, which you should, you will see most of the movie is actual flashbacks of the first movie. they they must have shot like 30 minutes of actual movie, and the rest is just from the first one, which
Huh.
is
Okay.
hilarious. I have not seen three or four, although I see they're in Shutter.
Yeah,
Um,
they're
I,
up to 5 now, aren't they?
so no, well, yeah. So five came out in the late '80s, early '90s with Mickey Rooney in it, which is so funny because Mickey Rooney was very vocal about how the first one was, shouldn't be released, and remember the whole hubbub about
Yeah.
the first one being released, and he was very vocal about it, and he ends up in the fifth one. And then they have the remake, I think, with Malcolm McDowell in it. I have not seen that yet, but I've heard good things.
Okay.
All right, sorry, back from the rabbit hole. Uh, Next one, oh, and this one I'm like, I know Jim hasn't seen maybe the most famous of this series, but has he seen the original? I'm going to go with no. I will be shocked.
Okay.
It is George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
The original Night of the Living Dead? Yes, I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Because you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead, right?
No, no.
Yeah. But Dawn of the Dead's probably the most famous of those ones.
Yeah.
And what part do you think was the
Uh,
scariest moment?
it's either going to be the brother taunting her with "They're coming to get you, Barbara."
Nope.
Then it's going to have to be the first zombie appearance.
No.
Oh, then what?
So I like for iconic parts of this
Hmm.
movie, I would have picked the absolute fantastic gut punch ending uh,
Okay.
of him getting shot, and because they think he's a zombie, which I think was just fun. You know, I love dark endings. So no, it's actually whenever the daughter, who's in the basement, has turned into a zombie and she kills her mother with a trowel.
Okay. I'm
Uh,
surprised that you wouldn't think I'd seen the original.
well, I mean, I would think if most people that have seen the original would have seen Dawn of the Dead.
I had no idea that they were contiguous.
So have you seen Day of the Dead?
No,
Do you see, Jim? Do you, so do you see a pattern here?
I do.
But you didn't think that they were connected. Make that make sense.
Okay. I blame that on the fact that I was I have no legitimate excuse. I'm sorry. I
Right.
tried.
Okay, that's fine. Don't try and gaslight me.
Yeah, I have no legitimate.
Okay, next one I know you've seen, and it is the absolute classic with the main actor, Jim. Let me tell you, he has got such a range of emotions. You'll
Fuck you
believe
and the
it.
changeling, sir.
No, it is same actor.
Then it's The Exorcist 3.
Yeah, I'm sure you can guess what the scene is
It's
going to
gonna
be.
be it's gonna be the scene where the cross comes up out of the floor.
Oh, fuck.
What?
Okay. No, 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 no. Jim.
Yes.
Okay, so this is talked about like so often, and this is the thing that everybody focuses on in
Well,
this.
see, here's your first mistake is expecting me to have seen the movie more than once.
No, no, this is brought up on these types of shows, and it's talked about on groups whenever people say, "What are the best jump scares in horror movies?"
Oh, so you're going to talk
And
about the nun chasing her across the hall?
then what? What
What? Do
nun? What are you talking about?
you,
It's I think you need to watch it again. It's the scene in the hospital with the nurse, and it's
yeah.
that long. There's no nun there. It's a nurse,
So when the nurse crosses the hall, there's a figure that comes out behind her.
right?
What is that figure?
It's just in white sheets,
Oh, okay. I for whatever reason conflated it with a nun. So my bad. I'm sorry. But yes, I
uh,
did understand the scene you were speaking of.
and there is two fantastic jump scares in that one scene. The first one is whenever the nurse comes, she hears a noise in one of the patient's rooms, and she goes in, and it's the ice melting in the
Hmm.
glass, and then the guy's like, "What are you doing?" And I just love the patience of that scene. Yeah, Fanar patience. And they set up just this long shot, and it's just sitting there. We're just watching it for like must be like 3-4 minutes.
Yep.
You're just like, okay, okay, what's going on there? And then
Right.
just the zoom in.
Why hasn't it stopped yet?
Oh. All right. Next up is the best in the series, I think, and it is Final Destination 2.
Okay. Well, I've seen the whole almost the entire series, so um, I can tell you my favorite scene in that. Well, I can't remember if that was the end of the first one or the second one. Is that which one had the at the end where the guy standing at the barbecue blows up?
I, th- I think, yeah, I think that's a part of part two,
Yeah, that was my favorite scene.
right? But that is not what they talked about.
Well, that's fair because I've been wrong on most of these.
This is the most famous scene from Final Destination 2.
I have no idea.
It is the opening with the accident, with the logs coming
Oh,
off.
the truck.
Okay, so again, we're coming down to, like, again, you'll have seen most, I think, of the rest. There's a couple that I don't think you've seen, or a few. Okay, so this Steven Spielberg movie
Never heard of it.
about a shark.
The Last Shark.
It's not that good. It's just,
So it's Jaws, obviously.
and what part of this iconic movie?
It's going to be when Christy gets attacked in the beginning.
Correct. And again, you could have picked many
Oh
parts of
yeah,
that. Quint's death, the boy's death,
yeah.
lots,
Alex.
lots of different things. Um, Wes Craven's
So
vehicle.
we're going to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. People Under the
No,
Stairs. Shocker.
Drew Barrymore.
Scream.
Right.
So it's going to be where she gets gutted.
Yes.
Although
Also,
I will say that is probably that probably was some great misdirection on their part because she got a lot of billing during the media campaign for that movie, and she dies in like the first 10 minutes.
do you know who did it better?
Who?
Alfred Hitchcock in Psycho.
I don't remember the marketing campaign for that one, so I'll
So
have to.
Janet Leigh was really, people thought she was the main star in it, and she would go all the way through. But they
Okay,
didn't
gotcha.
expect she would be the first one that dies. Okay. John Carpenter's Halloween Ends.
You're fucking kidding.
No, it's Halloween.
Of course. Hmm. So I'm gonna say the first good scare was when Michael climbs up the back of the nurse's car.
No,
Really? Then it's gonna be the scene where he
just
kills his sister.
forget it. It could have been that one, but it's not. So think of it more like the most iconic scene. I think that's kind of what they did for a lot of these.
Most iconic scene. Then it's gonna be where he's watching her in the yard.
No, it's the ending. It's the
Oh,
ending
okay.
wherever he gets up and then he's gone.
Okay. Well,
I feel you've seen this one too. Ridley Scott's
never heard
Alien.
of it. It is not one of my favorite movies ever made.
Yeah. Hmm.
So it's gonna be the chest burster scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we're down to the top one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Oh, just by happenstance, this is the top 10.
Woohoo!
So, number 10 of the top 10, I'm going to say that you haven't seen it.
Okay.
It is Ringo.
Ringo. I've seen Ringo. We've had this conversation.
Have we?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what scene?
I gotta be honest. I don't know. I don't. I mean, I honestly don't.
It's the most iconic scene in it.
I got nothing.
Where she climbs out of the TV at the end.
Yeah. That's I know, but I was trying not to be that obvious.
But you said you couldn't think of anything.
No, but I mean, I couldn't think of anything that wasn't obvious, and that's what I was. That's what I was
But
going for.
Jim, I just clarified the most
I
iconic.
know, I know, but I don't listen to you.
Do you just want to lose this competition? Is that?
I didn't realize. Are you keeping score?
I am.
Oh, so
All right.
I'm negative. How many at this point?
Next one. Next up is the South Korean zombie movie.
Train to
There's
Busan.
Yeah,
Never
Busan.
seen it.
Yeah, that's why there was no ding.
I
Okay,
keep hearing great things about it, and I want to watch it, but I
it
just
is.
haven't gotten around to it.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Um, okay, this is the Scott Derrickson, Ethan Hawke vehicle of Sinister.
Of course, I've seen it.
Okay, and I think they picked the best scene in it.
So I'm gonna go with when he sees the family hanging from the tree, but I don't think that's where you're going.
No, and again, for that movie, I think all the best parts are the home movie parts.
Yeah.
So it's one of the home movie parts. Do you want to have another guess, or do you say
No, no, I'll let you give it to me.
it is the lawnmower scene?
Okay.
So yep. Next, this is the prequel of Exorcist Two.
That would be The Exorcist. Shocking.
Okay, and
So I
again,
can tell
you
you,
probably
I
picked
can tell you
Wall.
the part that scared me was when she was going in for all those tests, and she got into the one machine, and you hear that thunk, thunk, thunk. It scared the crap out of me as a child.
I agree with you because that is real world
Yeah.
stuff. Like whenever they put the line in her arm and it just starts squirting out blood.
Yeah, that
That's
was
but no,
that
it's not
uh,
that part.
then I'm gonna let's see. Then we could go with the scene where she pees on the carpet, which I don't think it's gonna be the bed shaking.
They did talk about her peeing on,
Okay,
on the carpet, and Jim. So whenever she goes down there, who is she talking to?
Captain Howdy.
No, when she
What?
goes down to the party scene, just
Oh,
before
oh, oh.
she pees herself,
Hmm. I don't remember.
she says, "You're going to die up there."
Yeah, she does.
So what movie does that connect The Exorcist to?
I don't know.
The Ninth Configuration.
Huh. Another movie that you suggested I watch that I've seen once. Okay.
So the main guy in that is the same character that's at that party, and she was telling him that because he was about to go up into space. And in the ninth configuration, he was acting crazy to get out of it.
All right.
So that's how the Exorcist and the ninth configuration. The ninth configuration is kind of a sequel in a way.
Huh. Okay. Good to know.
But no, it's a crucifix scene.
Okay. Yeah. Do you
All
know what she
right,
did? Your cunting daughter.
your cunting daughter.
The
This Stanley Kubrick movie is hated by Stephen
Shining.
King. Yeah.
And that's going to be the scene. It's either going to be the scene where Shelley Duvall's character sees red rum and realizes what it means, or the scene with Jack Nicholson and the axe where he says, "Here's Johnny."
I just wrote down lots of different scenes.
Well, there's a lot of goodness in this
I
movie.
I think The Shining is just okay.
But you have to admit, there's a lot of effective fear-inducing scenes in this movie, like the
Uh,
scene where he's kissing the what he thinks is a beautiful young lady, and then he turns and sees her in the mirror. I'm sorry, but I wanted to crawl out of my skin.
no, it didn't bother me. I think that if I was to give it a rating, it would be a 7 out of 10 for me.
That's probably higher than I would rate it.
Well, of course,
I mean, I'd probably go with a solid 6, but
but you
I'm
love
also
it.
not in love with it. I just think it was a very effective film.
Yeah, I don't think it's a. Well, I can understand why some people see it as a classic. I just don't. It's a good movie, and that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. I like the book much better.
Okay, we have
And the miniseries, that was better too.
Alfred Hitchcock's.
Are we going with Psycho?
Yeah.
Of
So
course, I've seen it, and
they
we're gonna go with the shower scene.
so the shower was one scene. They talked about another scene too. So can you think of any other scene?
Is it going to be the masturbation scene? Because that would be pretty creepy.
Does he masturbate in it?
They made it much more prevalent when they did the shot for shot remake,
I know, right?
but
I, I,
yes, it's intimated that he was pleasuring himself while watching her.
I think you're getting out what you put in there, Jim. No. So the other scene they talked about was, and it's funny because they talk about, hey, how does that work? Whenever the guy gets killed at the top of the stairs, and then
Okay.
it's falling down the stairs, which is a really iconic shot. But then
Yeah.
it's like, how does that work? Because he's just like, horizontal all the way down. But it works. It works in the movie.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So we're down to our top four. And
Four.
in number four, you're getting no ding from me, Jim,
No ding from you.
because I don't think you've ever seen a movie by Takeshi Miike, have you?
I wouldn't know. I'd have to know the name.
Audition.
I have not seen Audition.
Okay. So that was number four.
Okay.
Number three is a modern day classic for me.
For
And this
you,
is
that's not saying a lot.
this is the Tony Collette Hereditary.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go with the little girl getting her head smashed in by the pole.
Nope.
Then it's going to be the scene where she saws
Oh,
off her own
actually,
head.
sorry. I believe it is. I believe you're right.
Okay.
So, my notes, because I watched this a while ago, I wrote down decapitation, but then I'm thinking, well, that could be a lot of things.
It could be
It could be
because
a lot of
at
things.
one point Tony Collette decapitates
Right,
herself.
right. But I think it was the kid. All right. So, did I ding
I
for
don't think
that?
you did.
Okay, I knew you'd seen it. Next one, John Carpenter's classic remake of The Thing from Another World.
Oh, so this is the
But it's not
thing.
really a remake, I guess. It is a reimagining.
Hmm. Let's see.
So this is the most iconic part in this movie.
I'm gonna say the head spider.
The part just before that,
Oh, where the stomach eats the guy's arm.
yeah, the chest opening
Yeah.
and biting off his arms. And at number one,
Dun 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 dun.
can you guess what it is?
No, this list is all over the place, so I'm not even gonna venture a guess.
So this is a 1970s movie,
Okay.
and it's by far, I think, the best thing that this director ever made. Although you could argue about whether he actually made one of these other movies or not. It is the Toby Hooper classic, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay, I have seen it, of course.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the credits were the most disturbing when I watched it initially.
I love the sound design, especially of the opening where it's like, no.
Yeah, agreed. And the narrator, John, who knew John Larroquette from Night Court could be so creepy?
Right, I've never seen that before. So I don't know. But no, that is not that. I wrote down two separate scenes.
Okay, so we can talk about possibly when Sally has her breakdown because I hear that that was a brutal filming. It was brutal to film.
Nope.
Okay,
One of them is the most infamous scene.
then I'm gonna go with when he grabs her and drags her back into the house.
Nope.
No. Hmm. Okay.
Okay. Don't want me to just tell you?
Yeah, go ahead, please, because I'm trying to think, and I'm just not being quick because I have to go so far back into my mind. I haven't watched this in many years.
Do you know what the original filming title was for this?
I do not.
It was going to be called Head Cheese.
Oh,
And Toby Hooper was trying to get this PG rating
a
initially.
PG rating for this movie?
Hmm.
Oh,
So you
okay.
have to think, this is the '70s, and the PG standards back then were different from
Well,
now.
yeah, it was much,
But
much different.
for example, one of the scenes that they talked about, like most of the scenes in the movie, a lot of it isn't shown, right?
Right.
It's implied, or So the meat hook scene is one of the
Okay.
scenes we talked about. The other one is the hammer scene whenever he hammers the guy coming in. So yeah, so those are the two scenes that they talked about. So that
Okay.
is the 101 scariest moments. For this sort of list, I thought it was actually not too bad because they did throw some different movies in there.
Yeah,
Uh,
they did go a different direction with some of their decisions, but I thought it was pretty good for the most part.
yep, yep. And that provided us lots of material. Okay, so Jim, I just want to have a little discussion here on a topic.
Oh my, this scares me.
Yeah, I just want to pick your brain a little bit
Oh
and find
Jesus.
your comfort level.
Okay.
So, whenever it comes to a lot of media,
Hmm.
whether that's movies, books, music, um, how easy is it for you to separate the art from the artist?
That depends.
And what does it
Um,
mean?
so if we're talking like about an actor in a role, it's very easy, in my opinion.
Okay.
Um, if I'm talking necessarily about a book that I'm reading, it's a little more difficult only because I believe if the book's written effectively, it's going to draw a lot on your real life. So it's harder to come up with that distinction.
So,
Where
so,
where does real life
so,
end and where does, I mean, unless it's obviously fantastical, then
so
obviously where the line is. But
just to be clear,
sure.
um, what I mean is, you get somebody like Roman Polanski
Okay.
or Victor Salva, one of these people that have done maybe very heinous things in
Hmm.
their real life. Does that affect how you watch something that they've made?
Um, past probably not. Future definitely.
Uh, so, so you know about Victor Salva, right?
I do. Yes.
So whenever you watch Jeepers Creepers, does it ever pop up into your head, or the Clown House, right? Or was it Clown House or Fun House? Um, what that guy did.
So I can honestly say I have not seen Jeepers Creepers, any of them, in probably 10 years.
Hmm.
So by the time this all came out, I was already off the movies anyway.
Right.
Um,
So
can,
say
can I
it's
honestly say that the reason I haven't revisited them recently is because of what we've learned?
mm-hmm,
No, I can't say it's had any impact whatsoever. I can, however, say with somebody like Kevin Spacey, or
mm-hmm.
not, was it Kevin Spacey?
I, wow.
He was that, or and anybody nowadays that's being, I guess, yeah, I can honestly say that there have been some. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the dividing line is. So, I mean, if it's just them being a prick,
Hmm.
you know, I'm probably going to be less judgmental than somebody like Victor Salva.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I can honestly say that it does affect me.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder. Right. Jaws is obviously both one of our favorite movies.
Yep.
If it turned out that Steven Spielberg was doing something horrendous in his private life, and they just found
Yeah.
out,
Maybe he wasn't really married to Kate Capshaw.
or Richard Dreyfuss, or Rob,
Oh.
would not, with that knowledge now, would that change my opinion on that movie or
So
sully it?
I
Um,
I can honestly say it probably wouldn't change my opinion of the movie. It probably would impact the frequency with which I would watch that movie again, though.
yeah, it's but I'm you know So that's a movie which is a favorite.
Yeah.
So it may have less of an effect, or it may have more of an effect because
Right.
you feel more let down.
Right.
It's even whenever you have actors or directors that come out. For me, when they have a political view I don't like, it's like, oh, that's sad. But it really shouldn't matter because these people are just creating something, and what goes on in their life really shouldn't affect how you look at what they do.
It shouldn't, but let's be honest. As a human species, we're judgmental. That's one of the things we do best.
Well, especially you, Jim.
Yeah, of course. So I 100%, even though we shouldn't let it affect, because there's a lot more than just one person that goes into making a film. So
Right.
even though we shouldn't let it affect how we view a film or a piece of work, it's going to no matter what.
And I think sometimes whenever it comes to different medium, like music is almost closer to people. I don't know because you sing along and whatever. And I think
I think the music community is more forgiving. I hate to say that, but I think they are because eventually it's going to pass. And let's say, God forbid, somebody like Kesha, who, when she came out with her allegations against her producer, pretty much destroyed her career, and she's having to start all over again. Um, she's at least getting that chance now. Whereas in film, once you're blackballed, you're blackballed. You're not coming back.
um, yeah. So if you look at like the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing,
Right.
that's a huge thing. I mean, there's legions of people that were, and I think they did it. I think they got her kicked off Aquaman too.
Oh, she no, she's still going to be in it.
But I think I think
They,
they
they may
reduced
have
the
diminished her
role or
role.
something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the court of public opinion. Um, because, and here's the thing: if it wasn't Johnny Depp, if it was just some random person nobody ever knew, I think people would have been on her side more because they recognize her. Whether and we don't know exactly what went on, but it's this spectacle thing.
It is. It is.
You know, I,
But you think about it this way. Look at O.J. Simpson.
right? I was just about to bring up Naked
I
Gun.
mean, I don't think that man's ever going to recover from what happened in his private life.
Hmm.
I mean, granted, that's probably, well, I mean, it may or may not be more extreme than most, but still,
And,
it's going to affect him for the rest of his life. He's never going to get his career in movies or in football or have any sort of respect again.
it's also kind of weird whenever people are accused of something and then they get found not guilty, right? He was found not guilty, but everybody still thought he did it. And
He was
yeah,
found not guilty on criminal charges, but he was found directly responsible in the civil cases.
I know, but really,
But I
it's
mean,
a
yes,
criminal case that
anything that carries any impact, he was found not guilty. Yeah.
right. Um, I know one of your favorite talking heads, Alex Jones. He got
My
his.
favorite. Yeah.
No, but it's just an interesting and sometimes I go back and forth on, and everything's kind of individual, whenever it comes to it. Like I do feel a bit gross, like if thinking about Jeepers Creepers. 'Cause I
Yeah. I
like that
mean,
movie, and then like I say, it's the same with music. There was a band called Lost Prophets, and I really like some of their stuff.
yeah.
It ended up like the singer had like freaking pedo kitty pictures and stuff on his
I mean,
computer.
look at.
And
We'll
so
take.
like a song and I think because it's the singer, you kind of there's different attachments because that's kind of I don't know.
Well, let's talk about Ezra Miller, for instance.
Hmm.
You see what their career is going through right now with
DC's
the
backing him though.
what's that?
I think DC was backing him though, and then they pulled out again, right?
They them, sir. They them.
Hmm?
Ezra Miller's preferred pronouns are they them.
Oh, whatever. Uh,
So
sorry, I'm
I
not woke, Jim.
that's okay. They might be. I don't know. I didn't read that much, but given everything that's going on with Ezra Miller and the person that they disappeared with, I personally would never watch anything they're affiliated with again.
But remember, Jim, a lot of people, are in the production and everything else. So
I
why?
don't disagree, but I was also not a fan to begin with, so it's not much of a jump for
That makes
me.
it easier.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey's a serial killer. I'm not going to listen to any of her
I,
music ever
I
again.
have my own opinions about Mariah Carey. Please do not get me started.
Do not Google how much money she's made from that horrendous Christmas song.
I don't know and I don't care.
No,
I've hated her
Don't
since the
Google it. It
early
will ruin
90s.
your day. It's like freaking gross.
I have disliked that woman since the early 90s, so
So yes. So I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting topic to kind of
it is, but I mean, you have to look at somebody like Kevin Spacey, who he's had several allegations now about inappropriate behavior, from another well-known actor right now that's on Star Trek Discovery, um, including other men also. But like John Travolta had the same thing, where several masseuses that he employed came forward and said that he did all this inappropriate stuff to him, but he had already faded from the limelight, so it didn't really affect him so much. Kevin Spacey lost House of Cards because of what he was going through.
right. And I'm talking about John Travolta, right? You're talking about Tom Cruise, right?
He's got the church behind him, though.
No, but what I'm saying is, people still love Tom Cruise,
They do.
and I think he is, still an icon, um,
Agreed.
and a great actor, even though he's, you know, nuttier than squirrel poop.
I mean, he's not quite
So
Nicolas Cage level, but close.
I'll be talking about Nicolas Cage in what we watched.
I'm gonna go with Willy's Wonderland.
You're right. Um, but anyway, I mean, we can throw this open to our Facebook group.
We
What do
can.
y'all think?
Right. What do our tens and tens of listeners think as far as separating the art from the creators when it comes to their personal life?
For both of our listeners, um, is there any um, artist or material, whether it's movies or books or music, whatever, that you used to enjoy but you now refuse to watch or read or listen to because of something that that person's done? That's a good question.
That is a good question. And on that high note, why don't we jump right into what we've watched, Mark? You go first.
Okay, I've actually watched a few things.
Well, that's good because I don't have much.
All right. Let me start off with a MCU TV show.
Wait, you watched a TV show?
Right.
I'm interested now. Come on, don't keep me in suspense.
It is She-Hulk.
What did you think?
I'm about 7 episodes in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who likes Marvel stuff too. We were just kind of generally, we hadn't talked for a while, just kind of catching up with, we've seen Doctor Strange 2 and Thor and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I mean, Thor wasn't that great. I like Doctor Strange 2 because I'm a horror fan. I said I'd be watching She Hulk, and he's like, oh, it's terrible, isn't it? I'm like, no, I really enjoy it. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, no, I really enjoy it.
So for me, the main character Tatiana Maslany is the reason that I enjoyed that show. I thought she's just so relatable and likable
She
that she
is
carried that whole show.
super likable.
Yeah.
But you can say whatever you want, and I hear a lot of people say, well, Marvel movies are cookie cutter, and they are to a certain degree. But I think that they also branch out into different genres. Even
Hmm.
the movies, definitely the TV shows, like Ms. Marvel, which I thought was really good too.
Yeah.
That is a definitely aimed at a younger audience,
Yeah,
younger girl
100%.
audience, which is great. And this one, She Hulk, so far I think has been very fun, very good, very funny. And this one really is more like a sitcom.
Yep, agreed.
I know, WandaVision really was their each episode was a sitcom, but this
I
one's
have to
really,
say, WandaVision to me was penultimate. It was fantastic the way that it was done and the way the whole series carried.
yeah, I really enjoyed WandaVision. But this one is like more of a normal sitcom.
Hmm.
And I love now that, she does like the Deadpool fourth wall break.
Yeah, I agree. I like
Because I
that.
just hope at some point in the future, Deadpool and her are in something together and they both start breaking the fourth wall. And then I think that could be something funny to set up.
Could be.
So yeah, I'm up to episode 7. I'm really enjoying it. It's a very so far low stakes, but really fun. Like Tim Roth is hilarious in it.
Hmm.
It's just a fun time all around. I don't know why people wouldn't like it, but
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was fun.
it's, it's up to whatever people like, I guess. All right. So, as far as movies, I have watched 4 movies.
Oh boy.
The first one is the one that we just mentioned. It is Nicolas Cage and Willy's Wonderland.
What did you think?
Have you seen it?
I have.
Okay. Did you ever watch the Banana Splits horror movie?
I did not.
So that came out a number of years ago,
Yeah,
and it's really the same premise, sort of,
sort of.
where the Banana Splits are animatronics
Yep.
that malfunction and end up like killing people.
Right.
This one obviously is possession. Um, you know what's funny about Willy's Wonderland? I was watching it. I'm like, oh my god, it's that girl from Prey.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh wow, she's really good in this too. And then I looked it up and was like, no, they're totally different actresses. But
Yeah.
to me, they look like really identical almost, even though they're not. But this one, I think, it wouldn't be that good except for the decision that they made um, to let Nicolas Cage not say a word
Hmm.
and just play kind of the cool, crazy guy.
So this is how I summed up Willy's Wonderland when I saw it. It is Nick Cage being Nick Cage in the most Nick Cage way.
I almost feel like he took, or they took, like Clint Eastwood, The Man with No Name from you know, the Western trilogies that he did with Leone, etc.
Yep.
He doesn't say very much, but he's kind of that cool. He'll just do it, whatever. And what I loved about this is, you can almost like see somebody being like Nicolas Cage in this, like just a very special individual who probably has social issues,
Yep.
but is very kind of, if they say they'll do it, they'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's on the spectrum somewhere
Yeah.
because
I could see that.
he has to, he's got a timer, he has to do things every time. He agrees to clean this place up, and he does it.
Yep.
That's what he does, and in the middle of it, he's not going to take any shit,
Right.
unless it's his break, and then he has to go off and drink his soda and play the pinball and dance around. So it is a weird movie, really, if you look at it objectively. But I think if you roll with it, it's a good time. All right, what else have I watched, Jim? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm waiting for movie number two.
Oh yeah, your bated breath over there.
Bated breath.
I watched a movie called Off Season.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
So here's a synopsis. Upon receiving mysterious letter, her mother's grave has been vandalized. Marie travels to a desolate island town where she's buried. Just as she arrives, the island closes for the season.
This does sound familiar.
So this one was very much atmospheric, and this one was very, 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 very much um, like a version of Lovecraft's. Um, in fact, sorry, speaking of Lovecraft, talk about trying to separate an art, the art from the artist. Lovecraft was a horrendous racist.
So I've heard.
Yeah, don't look up his cat's name.
I'm
Um,
I'm not I'm not a fan of his work in general anyway. I just find it very verbose and almost too intricate to enjoy.
oh, it, it is definitely of its time, and
Yeah, I
even
don't
not
disagree,
even
but
of
there's
his
not.
time. He was
I mean,
writing in a style that had gone out of fashion a long time before that.
yeah,
Uh, his writing is not a page turner,
yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
but he's a very important writer within the horror science fiction
I,
realm.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, some of his stuff, it is verbose, and he does that intentionally,
Yeah,
and there's the obvious jokes about unnameable stuff being unnameable,
yeah, the
but
eldritch things.
right. But this movie is very much like The Shadow over Innsmouth. Have
Okay,
you read that? Have you
no,
seen the movie Dagon?
I have not, but I wanted to. I just keep passing it up for some reason.
Yeah, Dagon's very good. It's a Stuart Gordon movie, um, who obviously did From Beyond and Reanimator. Right? It's not anywhere near as good as those two, but it is a good watch. But this one really is like the Lovecraft story, but tweaked a little bit. It's very atmospheric. It's not got a huge budget, but it's acted well, directed well, and yeah, you could do worse for an hour and a half to watch off season. Um, I would give it. What did I rate it? 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, pretty good. Did you want to talk about anything else, or do you want me to finish off my other two movies?
Go ahead. I have three movies. So
Okay.
go ahead.
The next one that I watched is Howling Village.
Not heard of that one.
You may remember on a previous episode I talked about Suicide Forest Village.
Mm,
It's by the guy who did Ju-On, I believe.
okay.
And I think this is like part of a trilogy of like village movies. Um, this one's kind of weird. It's not as good as Suicide Forest Village.
Okay.
Um, it's a bit more straightforward, and some of it doesn't make a lot of sense. But it does have a nice kind of like tying it all together ending. I would. What did I give this? 3.5 out of 5 too. Howling Village.
Okay. That's fair.
And the last thing that I watched because I just got the Blu-ray, one of my favorite horror sci-fi movies ever, which is Nigel Neal's Quatermass and the Pit.
You've talked about this before, this series before. I've not seen it.
Um, if you can watch Quatermass and the Pit, I mean, there's no other movie that I can think of where it blends. Let's see, aliens, ghosts, evolution, um, demons, devils, telekinesis, all into one movie, and it all
Oh,
works.
okay.
It's a 1967 movie, and I don't know if you know, like I posted online, but one of the main characters, Julian Glover, in
Hmm.
it, and this was 1967. He's still acting, and he was in Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
So it's great. It's crazy. This guy, like, and he's in his 90s now, I think. But
Wow.
he was Grandmaster Pycelle, if you remember Game of Thrones. But yeah, it's so funny to see him younger in 1967 in this movie, and he's still acting. Dude needs to retire because he needs to know himself. But yes, Quatermass in the Pit, definitely, definitely a huge recommend. A 5 out of 5 for me all day, every day.
Wow. Pretty high rating. And actually, you know what? I'm looking at my list. I think I talked about these last week. Do,
Uh-oh.
do you remember me talking about the movie Torn Hearts?
No.
Okay, so I watched this movie called Torn Hearts with Katie Seagal, who is Peg Bundy,
Yep.
also Leela from
Yep.
Futurama.
Hmm.
She plays a fantastic psycho in this movie.
All right. Well,
Uh, she
she
plays an
she
she
played a
plays an
fantastic psycho in the Bundy one.
she this movie centers around two up and coming country superstar wannabes, and they decide to in I don't mean this literally. They just roll up on her house and start talking to her about the death of her sister when they were a country duo superstar, and trying to get her to record an album with them, and all this stuff. And she decides, you know what, I'm going to really fuck with these kids, and I'm going to put them through their paces and see just how far they're going to go to get this opportunity. And just chaos ensues throughout the whole movie, and the third act is absolutely balls to the wall, and it's great. It's done so well. Um,
um, so hang on. I'm not sure I understand the premise.
okay.
So they want to be famous country stars.
Yes, these two
So they
girls want
look
to be
at
famous
her,
country singers. Hmm.
and then she makes them do things to
Right.
get
So
approval.
she, so Katie Seagal and her sister were country superstars back in the early '90s, because
Well,
these are now 20 somethings that are coming out
yeah.
to see her, and they decide to just show up at her house because they find out where she lives, and they proceed to beg her to record something with them. And she, in her infinite wisdom, decides this is her time to atone for what happened between her and her sister,
Hmm.
and she agrees to record with them, but only if they pass her tests.
Right. So that almost falls into like the what will people do for money?
Yeah, it's essentially exactly that, and she puts them through so much, and
Um,
she does it with I don't know how to explain it. Like she is so fantastic in this movie, so utterly fantastic.
so it's like Would You Rather, right? Have you seen that?
Not so much because this is direct. These girls know what they're doing. Like she makes no bones about it. She says in one scene she has them. She says, you guys can't really write together until you can fight. So I need to see you two fight. And she makes them literally beat the shit out of each other and start, you know,
Right.
releasing
So
their
one,
pent up feelings towards each other about how much they hate each other.
so
And
it's
this
like
is
so it's like the movie Cheap Thrills. Have you seen that?
I have not.
You should watch that. That's the same type of premise where it's like kind of this rich couple and they meet this like guy and his friend who are down on their luck.
Hmm.
They start saying, "Hey, for 500 bucks, would you do this?" And then they just keep on escalating and escalating
Yeah,
um, into
that's
more and
exactly how
more
it goes.
crazy stuff,
Yep.
into like killing and whatever.
Yeah. So then I watched a movie called Lanterns Lane, which is essentially about this group of kids that go out to this supposedly haunted highway. And that's about as far as I got because the movie was so fucking boring I had to shut it off. And then I watched the Always Fun Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis. Not really much I can say about that because it's a classic.
Right, isn't it? Does that have Leslie Nielsen in it? Or
Yes, yes, he is. He is one of the detectives.
yeah,
Oh no, he's not. He's one of the fathers.
I watched that a number of years ago for the first time. It was all right.
Yep. I honestly did not remember him being in the movie until I rewatched it just this last time.
Leslie Nielsen is also in one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time.
Sci-fi, huh?
hmm
Enlighten me, Swami.
Have you seen Forbidden Planet?
I have not.
You need to watch Forbidden Planet if you like sci-fi movies. It
Is this
is
going to be sci-fi like Dark Side of the Moon sci-fi,
no, no,
or sci-fi
no.
like Alien sci-fi?
This is classic '60s sci-fi.
Oh, okay, then yes, I will definitely partake in that.
It is somewhat based around Shakespeare's The Tempest. Um,
Okay,
but yes, so this is one of his earlier roles. Obviously, he's not joking around or anything. He's not
right.
frightened.
Because most people don't realize that he had a very long career in more dramatic pieces before he became Leslie Nielsen from Airplane and The Naked Gun.
So you might know Forbidden Planet maybe from The Robot. Well,
Oh,
not know the movie, but know the robot from the movie.
oh,
This is
is this the?
this
No,
was
that
the
was.
first appearance of Robbie the robot,
I was just gonna ask.
who ended up in Lost in Space.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, so yes, definitely check it out. Walter Pigeon is great in it too.
So then I also have two audiobooks that I listened to this week.
Okay.
I listened to Sandman Act 3, and I have to be honest, I was not pulled into this one like I was the last two. So
Hmm.
I sort of stopped and gave myself a break and started listening to An Unattractive Vampire. And I got to get the author's name because this is actually a fun book. Let's see. The actor's name is Jim McDonnell,
hmm
and it's essentially, so far from what I know of it, because I just started it yesterday, it is about Lord Bile, who is an ancient vampire who is woken up in the 20th century because actually I don't remember why he gets woken up, but he now inhabits a house, his old house that has been rented to a woman, an unwed mother and her child.
hmm
And it's hysterical because he's just learning about TV and all
Yeah,
these
fish
stupid
out of
vampire
water.
shows. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, still vampires.
Well, that's the thing. It sort of pokes fun at vampires because a stake through the heart. That's as much as they're giving us. There's so much else that has to be done, or we don't have to drink blood. We're still immortal. I don't know what these people are thinking. He pokes fun at a lot of the myths around vampires.
Yeah, still a vampire though.
Yeah, that's true, but it's fun. So, Mark, I have something for you. Are you ready?
Oh, oh,
We're,
yes.
we're gonna
About
we're gonna do
time, Jim.
we're gonna do something rapid fire. Are you ready?
I am always ready.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a category, and you're going to give me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Horror movie you hate.
The Fog remake.
Okay. Horror movie you think is overrated.
It follows.
Horror movie you think is underrated.
See, and this is sorry. I know it's a quick fire round, but like underrated versus underviewed.
Underrated. We're going with underrated, not underviewed.
Terror Vision,
Okay. A horror movie you love.
Martyrs.
A horror movie you can watch over and over again.
Most of John Carpenter's late '70s to early '90s movies.
A horror movie that made you fall in love with the genre.
That would be Jaws.
Okay. A horror movie that changed your life.
That changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Jaws, because it's it. I don't think any other movie has made me fearful in real life about like doing something normal, like just
That's fair.
swimming.
That's
I
fair.
don't know if that's what it meant, but
And that's okay. That it means whatever you think it means, and that's perfectly applicable. A horror movie that surprised you.
surprised me. Um, Now I have to put my thinking cap on. A horror movie that surprised me. Um, I'm looking around the room at some of my posters. No, nothing in here. Um, Human Centipede 2.
Okay. A horror movie that's a guilty pleasure.
I don't have guilty pleasures. I love all movies that I love. A guilty pleasure, boy. Again, we talked about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2,
Uh-huh.
Pieces. All these ones like Samurai. Well, I suppose not horror, but Samurai Cop or Troll 2, or
Okay.
all of these terrible ones that are off. That are awesome.
That's fair. How about a horror movie you should have seen by now?
That I should have seen.
Yeah.
I have not seen. I'm trying to go back to like earlier horror, like one of the big ones that I haven't seen for whatever reason. Um, as you know, Jim, I've actually seen every horror movie that's ever been made.
Oh
This
yes, of
this,
course.
this one's tough for me. Um, I don't know. God, I thought this was gonna be fun. Um, I don't know. Let me come back to that one. Let me think
Okay.
about
And the last one is a horror movie that disgusted you in a good way.
it. That's like most of the more extreme horror movies.
Yeah.
Um, like if you,
I'm expecting a giallo answer.
oh no, whenever I think about disgust, it's gonna be more of the extreme side of things. So uh, maybe something like grotesque, which
Okay.
is just uh, the most nihilistic but wonderful practical effect of just a story about a guy torturing people, and that's it.
Okay.
Really, but like a horror movie that I haven't seen that I should have seen. That's a very good question. I'm sure there's a lot of them. I'm trying to think if there's any like Wes Craven movie that I feel that I should have seen and I haven't. Somebody like that. Um, I don't know. Find out.
We'll have to come back to that one on
Yeah, I
another
know.
episode.
It's hard. So why don't you answer your own questions?
Oh God. Okay. So a horror movie I hate, anything by Rob Zombie. A horror movie I think is overrated, anything by Rob Zombie. A horror movie that I think is underrated.
Anything by Rob Zombie?
No. A horror movie that is underrated. I would have to go with Cube. I think it was. I think it was horribly underrated when it first came out, even though now it has more of a cult following.
Have you seen
Uh,
the sequels?
I have seen the second one. Yes,
Yeah, I think there's a third one too, right?
there is, but I haven't seen it.
I've seen all of them, I believe.
Horror movie that I love. Jaws or Alien.
Hmm.
A horror movie I can watch over and over again. Jaws or Alien.
Right.
A horror movie that made me fall in love with the genre. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hmm.
A horror movie that changed my life.
Ooh, The Entity.
No, no, I'd have to go with the Nightmare on Elm Street because that's my earliest memory is that movie, is watching that movie and being in love. A horror movie that surprised me, Torn Hearts. That was a lot more enjoyable than I expected it to be.
Hmm.
A guilty pleasure. Hmm,
Anything by
guilty.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, no. But actually, if we're going that vein, House of a Thousand Corpses, because I actually enjoyed that one.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. A horror movie I should have seen by now. Anything in the series that isn't Night of the Living Dead.
And there's a lot. There's a lot in that series.
There is.
I,
Oh,
and I'm sorry, but the Romero is always going to be held up as one of the icons of horror, and he should be. But some of those, you know, more recent ones that he made were just not very good.
and then a horror movie that disgusted me in a good way. I'd have to say that the chainsaw scene in Terrifier I thought was really well done.
In the first,
Yeah, in the first one.
the splitting the woman.
Yeah. I thought that was really well done with practical effects and it was very effective. It was disgusting.
I told you that used to be a actual form of execution, right?
Yes.
They would saw them with a saw.
So there you have my answer, sir.
Okay, very good. I'm still trying to think about a horror movie that I should have seen that I haven't.
Anything by Toby Hooper.
No,
Well, because you think he didn't do half of his movies anyway.
no, he made all the
I
only Poltergeist I can.
know, I'm teasing.
Um, um, I'm not gonna get any sleep tonight.
I'm gonna get a text message at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jim, I got
God damn it!
it. This is the one.
Right.
It, okay, I don't know. I think about
We'll come back to it. That'll be the first question I ask you on the next episode. How's
it.
that?
Okay, I will have completely forgotten by
I know.
then.
So, starting next week, folks, we'll have our new segment. What has Mark not seen?
It's going to be the quickest segment ever. I've seen everything, Jim.
Indeed.
That's why I can't think of anything because I've seen everything.
Oh, of course, yes, 100%. Howard the Duck.
I saw that back in the day. Yes.
So, did you hear that they're
Oh,
doing a?
I could have just used my list and said, "Wait until dark."
Yes, you could have. Did you see that they're doing a prequel series, Camp Crystal Lake,
A prequel series,
to Friday the 13th called Camp Crystal Lake?
like a TV series.
Yes, it's going to be on Peacock.
Uh, I mean, I I don't know about how much how much blood can you get from a stone? It's like what? Why a prequel? So it would be Jason growing up as like
Well,
an
I
adolescent.
that's the part that they're a little sketchy on because they haven't decided on the actual storyline. It's just going to take place before the first movie.
It would actually be great if it was, well, not great, but at least it would be more interesting if it was Pamela Voorhees
Well,
after
well, it
Jason.
would have to be because they don't have the rights to use the character of Jason yet
So how can they use Friday the 13th? Aren't they
because it's the
intertwined?
character rights they can't get. They have the
But how
rest
are
of it.
they separated?
I have no idea. But I read an article and it did specifically say they do not have the rights to use the Jason character, but they can use the setting.
They're all going to be. What about Spacin? Who's Spacin? Spacin Voorhees. Have you not
Oh,
heard the
that
legend of Spacin Voorhees?
you're all gonna die up
He's
there.
Dutch. Spacin Voorhees. Um. Oh, did we talk about the Megan trailer? Is it Megan?
I don't know if we've talked about it this week or not.
Because I think you saw it and then I watched it.
Yeah, I did.
So they're definitely going for the uncanny valley with that.
Yeah, I don't know. This is either going to be
Oh, we did talk about this because Allison Williams is in it.
it just I don't know. It's either going to be campy fun or it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to try and be too serious and just be terrible. I can't decide which way it's going to go.
No, I mean, I think no, I think they're going to play it off seriously. Um,
Yeah, but it's going to fail so bad if anything in the trailer holds true.
I'm I don't know because
I
what
mean,
did you
it's
think?
like
What
fucking
did you
Teddy
think?
Ruxpin's coming to kill people.
Well, hang on. What did you think of the Child's Play reboot?
I would have enjoyed it a lot more had it not been a Child's Play film.
But
I
it's
like the premise. I do.
it, it Megan seems closer to that because it's not a possessed doll.
Yeah,
It's a
I
male.
do agree. It
It's a
seems a bit more
malfunction.
feasible and more believable, but I'm just not sure how well it's going to be done. That's my concern with the film.
Um, Call up Lloyd Kaufman. I have an idea. So,
Let
how about a
me
sex?
get him on speed dial.
How about a sex doll that comes?
Didn't we already do that with Frankenhooker?
No, no, that was a woman.
Well, arguably,
Well, pieces of women put together.
pieces of women.
No, but an actual sex doll.
Well, if we're talking about that, did you have you ever seen the movie May?
May?
May,
Yes.
and what did you think?
Going back into my memory banks because, and I know there was lots and lots of hype about it because what's her name's in it,
Angela Bettis.
and that guy that used to be in things too.
You got me on that one.
Oh no, he was pretty famous back then. I, from memory, thought it was just okay.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done, and I thought it was I don't know. I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was quite shocking in a lot of in
Kind
a lot of ways.
kind of around that era.
I did not remember Anna Faris being in that movie.
Hmm.
Huh?
What's the guy's name? Because he was in stuff.
Jeremy Sisto.
There you go. Have you seen Teeth?
I have not. Can you imagine why?
Well, that is the place that Jim does not want to go.
While I do find vagina very scary, yes.
Well, especially if it has teeth.
Mm.
Um,
Although there was a movie named Hole. Have you ever seen that?
Hole.
Yes. It's about a hole in a wall that talks to some guy. Talks to the guy in the apartment.
No.
And he does at some point have sex with it.
Well, of course.
Of course. I mean, what else do you do with a talking hole? Oh my god, that's wrong on so many levels. Oh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, both of our listeners, we found out a little bit more about human psychology. What
Oh
else
my
do you
god.
do with a talking hole? Listen to it.
I'm sorry. I'm
Jesus
sorry. I'm
Christ.
sorry.
Your mother listens to this, right?
She does.
Oh,
I
Lord.
guarantee as soon as I post this, I'll be getting a text message.
Apologies to Mother Jim.
Her name is Karen, by the way.
Oh, well, obviously.
Shut up. Oh my god.
Um, so, okay, let's not go down that rabbit.
Yeah, no
Uh,
kidding. Oh yeah, oh god, no. Let's not do
um,
that.
so the other of the things that I'm thinking about, so like with video games, it's been a while since I've actually felt like playing a video game for whatever reason. But they have a new horror one coming out, which is the Callisto Protocol,
Okay. And
which
what franchise
is,
is that in, or is that its own franchise?
well, it's made by the people that made Dead Space. I don't know if you ever
Okay,
played
which I
Dead
never played.
Space. So I think it's like a spiritual successor. Um,
Okay.
so that one looks interesting, and they have the new God of War, which apparently is getting rave reviews. That's not horror though. Well, sort
No.
of. Well, I mean, there's demons and stuff in it.
Yeah, I mean, but
He
still.
punches gods in their fucking face.
That's just action adventure at this point.
Yeah. Well, he does have a talking head that he carries on his belt, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, shut up.
No, he does.
I don't doubt it, but
Yeah.
I go back to the what else do you do with the talking hole anyway.
You need to leave that talking hole alone, Jim.
I know, I know.
Stop thinking about it. Stop obsessing over it.
I know, I know.
The things Jim would do to that talking hole boggles the mind.
Yes, yes, it does.
Can you separate Jim from his content? I don't know.
It's a good thing I
Uh,
don't make good. It's a good thing I don't make quality content, right? It'd be a lot easier.
I mean, both are very conflicted right now.
That
Okay, I think that's all that I have. I
is all.
do still want to have Jim watch my favorite horror movie and go watch along for Martyrs.
Should Mark? Why don't you post a poll now that you're not in Facebook jail anymore?
Oh, gee, yeah, I know.
Why don't you
What
post
a,
a
well,
poll?
I don't know. I haven't checked my phone in a while. I probably am back in jail. Post a,
Probably.
post a poll about what?
What the next watch along they'd like would be, or do they want to force me to watch your movie?
Oh, fuck them. You need to you need to watch my favorite horror movie, Jim.
I am game.
I am not willing to negotiate or pander to both of our fans.
I disagree with that sentiment, sir.
Okay, but you will be watching it in the future.
Oh
So,
yes, of course I will.
right.
Yeah,
But we will have to do the shape.
yeah. We made promises. We must fulfill our commitments.
We will, and Corey was also mentioning that the director and somebody else involved in it have their own podcast. So maybe we will do some sort of cross pollination with them.
I will let you feel out, put out your feelers, sir. Make us famous.
Well, I will leave you with your talking hole.
Okay, and on that note, folks, have a good night.